Hello, 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 and welcome to the Bridges and Beacons podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Meyerson. Delighted to have on the other side of the virtual table with me today my very good friend, Dr. Karah Kruse, to whom I haven't spoken in about 6 months. So we were laughing earlier about what did we talk about? What do we plan for? And the world is so different now. So we feel like we need to dive into topics that are time specific. I'm going to start out by reading Dr. Karah's beautiful bio, and then we'll get into our conversation. Karah Kruse is a naturopathic doctor, mentor, and midlife makeover expert who helps women balance hormones, boost energy, and reclaim their confidence naturally. Her own healing journey fuels her passion to guide women toward vibrant health with compassion, proven tools, and a holistic approach that honors the body, mind, and spirit. Karah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. It's wonderful to see your beautiful face again.
Thank you. I am honored to have you. I'm so excited. I will tell the listener because it's possible you're going to catch this in the future. We are currently recording in the month of October in 2025. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So part of our conversation today, Dr. Karah Kruse is going to tell us some really cool information, get us up on the latest and the greatest. I love the fact that you highlight in your bio that what you're doing is helping people with these strategies for vibrant health naturally, and that you're compassionate, that you have a holistic approach, which to me is where we need to be at this point in health and well-being. So you also mentioned that you had your own healing journey. Can you kind of take us back to where that healing journey began for you?
Yeah, it actually is what motivated me to go to medical school was I was kind of in the loophole of the conventional medical system. It started off with I was having anxiety and depression. The doctors gave me one medicine. Then I started having some thyroid issues. They gave me another medicine. Then I started gaining weight from those medicines. So then they gave me another medicine. And I just sat down one day and said, is this what my life is going to be like? Is just taking drugs? Like, and I sat there and I'm like, there's got to be a root cause. Like, why am I anxious? Why am I gaining weight? Why am I having thyroid disruptions? So it put me on a trajectory pathway to figure out why I was having these. And lo and behold, it popped me down into medical school. And when I went to medical school, I always said, I'm here to help myself. I never envisioned myself seeing patients. I thought maybe I'd be more of an educator, but I was truly there to heal myself because I wasn't getting any solutions from the conventional medical system. And so now, because I've had such profound health changes using naturopathic medicine and homeopathy, I treat patients with the same beautiful medicines so that they can experience the same health journey or a similar one or a parallel one that I had in my life.
Mm, I love that. So how long ago did that journey begin for you? Like, can you take us back to like what age you were, or what phase of life you were going through?
Yeah. I was in my late 20s when everything started.
Mm,
Yeah, that's when really started having some health issues. Up until then, I was like one of those healthy kids. I never got sick. People were going home with the flu. I was like, was the one that had the perfect attendance because I never got sick.
mm.
And then I started becoming an adult and cooking for myself and probably having some unhealthy habits in my 20s. And it's a cumulative effect of unhealthy habits. And then in my late 20s, I started having more significant issues. And what I didn't realize in my 20s was that my body had been talking to me the whole time. I just wasn't listening.
Hmm. Hmm. No, yeah,
Mhm.
that resonates. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, that's what you mean. There's something really going on here. So
Yeah.
I love that your response was not, let me find the expert in this. You're like, I'm going to medical school. Like there is just no and if or buts about it. I have to get like the prime knowledge from the source. Like, where does that come from, Karah, that's where you go?
Well, like, how did I find out about
I
naturopathic
mean,
medicine?
like how are you a person who finds the solution in medical school? Like I'm going to medical school, not I'm going to a doctor. I'm going to medical
Right.
school. I'm going to heal myself. I mean, we can all say we're going to heal ourselves, but a lot of times we mean like I'm going to do more meditation. I'm going to clean up my toxins in my environment. We don't say I think I'm going for a terminal degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was in community college after being laid off out of the business world. We're talking 2008, 2009. I'm sure
Oh
some
boy.
listeners
Yeah.
can resonate with that time period, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to go back to school and I was in a personal training program. And one of the
Mm.
ladies I was in school with, her goal was always to be a naturopathic doctor. So we just started talking and stuff. And she's like, there's a school down the street. So I went for student of a day. And that's when I realized I was like, I think I found my like forever home. And then the more I got involved in the school and the classes and got deeper in my education, I'm like, yeah, what drove me here were my own maladies, but I'm actually home. This is my life's purpose. This is what God put me on this planet to do. He just had to do like show me that path in an indirect route because I wasn't listening.
Again, resonating with that, Karah. I think so many of us go through that. Like, right, the sometimes we call it the dark night of the soul, or like everything falls apart, and you're like, whoa, I got to find a solution for this. This isn't sustainable. This isn't going to work for me. It's just funny to me that I also in my late 20s had like a major health crisis and was in kind of a similar state to you that I was having migraines and stomach issues. And again, it was like, all right, well, then you got to go see the neurologist. And he's like, here, take this medication. And you take the medication, and you're like, ooh, I feel like the walls are going like this. I don't have a headache, but I'm a little dizzy, and then you're taking the stomach medications, and that like messes with all of the homeostasis in your gut system and etc. And I finally came to a point where I was like, I'm done. I'm sick of this. I don't actually feel any better,
Mhm.
except I'm now getting all these side effects from all these medications that I'm taking. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I went to a course in 2008. It was called SANE, SANE, a PT, holistic PT. And it's sleep, activity, nutrition, environment. And she started talking about all of these things. She got to nutrition and environment and was talking about the toxins in our food. I literally sat there. I kid you not. You can ask my OT friends that were at the course with me. I literally like had my lunch bag, and as she was saying things, I was literally just taking stuff and like dropping it into a garbage can. Like, well, we're not doing that anymore. What's in my gum? Done, you know. And I feel like was the instigator for me to be like, so if this is not it, taking all these medications, I'm still not feeling better. And I felt like I'm too young to be so
Mhm.
sick and so tired and, all of those things, have all this brain fog. And that's when I really was like, I'm going to embrace healing myself. She had recommended this book, Living on Live Food. And I literally bought the book, went grocery shopping, and I just dove straight head in, figured out my food allergies, which I always knew I had, but nobody could really find that. And
Mhm.
uh, I was like, I think that's what it is. So the live food diet, you just really limit, added things one by one, allergic to gluten. I tried to add it. Nope. As I added things in, nope. And I really just reestablished the ability of my body to be like, that's okay. That's not okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like
Real quick, I want to caveat.
yeah,
Can I interject real quick?
please,
Because
please.
there's a huge motion in healthcare where everybody's allergic to everything.
Mm,
And there's a clear difference. An allergy will always secrete immunoglobulins. An intolerance is when you see like the brain fog, the joint pain, the bloating, anywhere from 7 to 72 hours after you eat that. I feel like that is where what we're missing is we're not removing the intolerances like you did and you found huge success. We're looking for allergies. And so
mhm,
no conventional doctor can really test you for your intolerances because they can be up to 3 days later. So by
mhm.
removing all of those things from your diet, you remove the intolerances and you reduce your total inflammation level.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And suddenly I had a brain again. Or
Yeah.
ever. I don't know. I feel like it was ever. I feel like gluten and dairy and like, and I'm not saying these are globally problems for everybody, but they are definitely problems for me. The way that they just systemically mess me up for, I mean, it's like everything stops functioning. I feel like I'm, living with joint pain and arthritis. And so I've just learned that like an anti-inflammatory type diet is what works for me. And I, no harm, no foul, no judgment on anybody else, but coming to that point for myself, and it's even been a little bit of this kind of a journey from 2008 until today. But I'm at a point today where I worked with my own naturopathic doctor, and she was like, took in all the information about me, and she was like, "Have you tried the low FODMAP diet?" I was like, have no idea what that is. But then she's like, let me just print out this list. You eat the stuff on this side, you don't eat the stuff on this side. You kind of be careful with the middle stuff, and see how you go. And that was like immediately within 48 hours, I was like, oh, wow. I had never
Hmm.
had a quiet gastro system. But anyway, sorry. I derailed because I
No.
was so excited about this topic because I think that's the thing. And, when I'm not saying all conventional medicine is bad, but in my experience, the the many, many doctors that I went to who were like, uh, here's a pill.
Yeah.
Um, and I went to this doctor and she was like, let's look at your lifestyle. Let's look at all of these other pieces. Let's try this. Follow up with me. Let me know, you know. And it's like one appointment to solve five things instead of five different professionals who may or may not communicate.
Correct. Hmm. I love that you pointed out the individualism that we all
Mm,
have. We're each a magical biological miracle. And that's why, I used to treat perimenopause specifically. And that's why one diet will work for this woman and it will have the other woman gaining weight and crying in the corner from depression and things like that. So I am an advocate of eating according to what you need and reducing anything that you're intolerant or allergic to. That is what your ideal diet is. So is it like a printed paper? Therapeutic diets? Great. FODMAP diet? Therapeutic diet. But when we're talking about everyday eating, like you had pointed out, you kind of got to play around with stuff. You got to eliminate, you got to find and listen to your body and create a plan that's unique and perfect for you.
mm-hmm. And can I tell you something so wild, which I'm sure will not be so wild for you? But I feel like when I made that shift to like being like, okay, tell me, I trust you, trusting my own body opened up my intuition in general. And then you're like, oh, like that feels different in the body because your intuition can be so quiet and subtle, you know?
Mhm.
So and there are certain things, I'm sure for other people too, that I can eat sometimes and not other times. And I have not necessarily a sense of why. I mean, it used to be like chocolate, can't have that too close to bed. That will definitely give me a headache. Now it's like chocolate is a no. My body is like, I don't want that. It's not going to go well. Don't even go there. And rather than be like, let me just try a few chocolate chips and see how it goes, when my body is like, don't go there, I'm like, okay. But it's those silent, quiet little like nudges, like, don't do that. And then you're like, well, maybe it just, and then you're like, nope, sorry. I would, my body was right and I didn't listen. But if we don't really tune in, how do we get there? Right? How do
Right.
we miss it?
So how I, so a lot of people miss it because they aren't in tune, or we're not trained to be in tune with our body. We're trained to, when the symptom gets unbearable, we seek help, right? So we practice kinesiology. So we use muscle testing because, again, we're each a biological magical miracle, but you're going to call for something one day, and then that supplement is going to work magic, and then it's going to end, and then we're going to give you another one to peel another layer of that onion off. And also sequentially, you need to support your organs and systems before you ever cleanse them. So you on your path went towards supporting all your organs, you reduced your inflammation so your body could naturally cleanse itself, allowing you to be more in tune with the subtle changes in your body.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. That's such a beautiful journey, Kelly.
It was,
Yeah, it's a journey of empowerment. And
it really was. Yes.
yes, and it takes the responsibility from you seeking help at a doctor's office to bringing the responsibility for your own health back home.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's one thing that we do here is we educate more so than anything. Because if we educate, we empower, and people can take back their power when it comes to doctors. I can't even tell you how many times I hear people say, I got bullied into doing this. I got bullied into doing that. And I'm like, okay, well, we need to work on you empowering yourself and feeling in your body so you have the ability to say no, or let me think about this, right?
Wow. I am sure so many people resonate with that because up until, 2008, I don't think I ever really thought about questioning what a doctor said. I think even more so, sort of like that people pleasing good girl in me was like, even if I'm uncomfortable, even if I don't like something, like just try to be like respectful and, even if it's uncomfortable, just don't say anything. Just be like the perfect, great patient. And yeah, I think that tricks your body into thinking you don't have autonomy.
Yep, exactly. hmm And then I start seeing it not just in that part of their life, I start seeing it in other parts of their life.
100%. There that and I think that's the mind body spirit piece is such a huge part of a holistic approach because you can't really pull one apart from the other. It's all
Right.
one entire system, right? I don't have to tell you that. Since that is your particular expertise. I want to switch in to talking about breast cancer awareness and treatment. And I know that where you are working now is a very special place. Can you introduce us to where you are now and what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm one of the doctors on staff here at Dallas Wellness and Thermography Center. We treat patients as well as administer regulation thermography scans. So there's two different types of thermography scans, and I have to caveat discussing both of them. One is more of a thermal, it's a camera, and then there's regulation, which is temperature. The thermal one was actually developed to look at a house and see where your heat was escaping for installation installers. And so the NIH thought that potentially they could use it as a treatment tool. So they investigated it. they decided to go ahead and grant this study some money, and then they realized that it actually wasn't as beneficial as they had thought. So they removed the grant money, and camera thermography has actually never been studied by the National Institute of Health. Regulation therapy or thermography, what we do here is we take the temperature of 119 spots, both on the face, the chest, the breasts, the stomach. We put the patient in a chilled room for 10 minutes, and then we go back and repeat the 119 points. And what that shows us is how the patient responds to a mild stress.
Mm-hmm.
Not only them physically on the outside, how tolerant are they, etc., but also every point that we're testing correlates to a specific organ or system within the body. So we can see cellular metabolic changes 7 to 10 years before you would go to the doctor and have a conventional medical diagnosis.
Wow.
Do you see now why I work here? It's an incredible tool. It was actually developed in Germany in the medical system. They use it for cancer patients because they've realized in Germany that giving cancer patients repetitive radiation dominant scans is causing more cancer or the cancer to get worse, elongate treatment, etc. So they use this to keep up with the cancer status within the body without having the radiation exposure.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, how relatively new is this technology in terms of in the US?
So actually our founder, Dr. Michael Einso, was the one that brought it here. I believe it was either 35, if not 40 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
so
it's not that new.
no, it's not. It's just not been mainstream yet. And I
Hmm.
don't know why, because ask anybody if there was a test that could literally tell you what was going on in your body before you developed diabetes or heart disease, would you do it? Everybody says yes. So why are we not talking about regulation thermography on a big platform? Because we already know this modality offers that to people.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. So we do because it's October, it's breast cancer awareness. So we have had primarily a female based clientele this month. Statistically, 1 in every 6 minutes, a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer in the US. I'm getting choked up just talking about it. Like to me, that is not acceptable. Kelly, the statistics right now shows that either you or I will be diagnosed with breast cancer in our lives.
Wow.
It's crazy. And
Yeah.
that's unacceptable to me,
Yeah.
especially when the statistics back 20, 30 years ago were not even close to this. So,
Hmm.
I mean, we're moving in the direction of cancer diagnosis as being from 1 to 130 years ago to 1 in 6 now. I think actually it might be 1 in 3 now. I mean, that's crazy to think that I'm sitting at the table with four of my friends, two of us are going to be diagnosed with with a challenging health issue
Wow.
of cancer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not to mention, like, let's talk about how the conventional medical system, if they don't have an answer, they just cut it out, right?
Hmm.
So 1,600 hysterectomies every single day. And do you know how many are actually medically needed? 1%. If if a woman has a hysterectomy and she actually goes back and looks at the paperwork that the hospital doctors sent to the insurance company, it almost always says elective.
Really?
Yes. Now tell me why they pressure you and they tell you that got to get done and we're going to take your ovaries too because we're in there. That's what they told one of my friends. We're just going to take everything because we're in there. She's like, no, you're not. You're going to take what you go in there for and you're leaving everything else.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So do you see now why I'm so passionate about helping women, especially middle-aged women? Because I feel like while we're in perimenopause, we're experiencing so many different hormonal changes, but the hormonal changes Some are natural, but a lot of them is because we've had really poor lifestyles leading up to there. We're stressed.
Mm,
We're eating the chemicals, like you said. We're applying them to our face and our hair, our bodies. We're living in them. Heavy metals are pretty much so everywhere. And what are the root causes of breast cancer? And pretty much so cancer in and of itself is a poor immune system, and that's lymphatics
mm-hmm,
and the heavy metals and
mm-hmm,
the chemicals. And so our breasts as women, it's fat cells and lymph. So
mm-hmm,
where do the chemicals go when we're overloaded with exposure? Right to the breast.
mm-hmm.
So because we are focused on breast cancer awareness month this week, I've been showing almost every woman a picture of their breasts. And I will tell you that 99.9% of them have lymphatic stagnation. So now we
Mm.
know that that is a root cause to what starts the nefarious processes later on. So why don't we just fix that issue now, and then you don't even have to worry about it?
I mean, I sign me up for that. So let's
Yeah.
say listener is listening, hasn't ever had an issue, but hears these staggering numbers and says, "Well, I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want the people I know and I love to be part of that percentage." So what do we start doing today to change that? Or to at least put ourselves on a better path to be less likely to experience it. Certainly from like the environmental lifestyle perspective.
I mean, I can give you a list of all of the general things that we do. Focus on nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
targeted supplementation,
Mm-hmm.
reduce the chemical load, like all that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
where the magic kind of happens is coming in and getting a thermoscan. Let's see what is happening in your cells specifically. Let's support those organs and systems. Let's cleanse them because we know that the toxins are out of control. And then the body heals itself.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if somebody's listening and they're saying, Karah, there is no way I'm getting to Dallas anytime soon. I'm like, I'm stuck where I am. Like, life is not going to allow me to do that. What's that's like top notch, start there, get the targeted approach. What is like the next level that they could be doing right now?
Well, I tell you to find a time to come to Dallas because you only have to come once and it only is for one day. Fly in, fly out. um, because it's a great baseline. It's
Mm-hmm.
where you're at today. But Kelly, you know me. I'm all about removing the toxins because the toxins are so ubiquitous within our lifestyle that reducing that exposure significantly helps out your digestive system, your lymphatic system, your liver, your skin. Like that is probably one of the most impactful things that you can ever do is reduce exposure. And then once you've supported all those detox organs and systems, work with a qualified practitioner to start removing or releasing and cleansing those organs and systems.
I love that. I know something I did that I didn't even realize. I don't know how I didn't realize this. I still had mercury fillings. Like as of last year, like around August, I went to a new dentist and he was like, we got to get rid of those. He's like, I have a whole process and procedure for doing that. So it's safe for you, safe for me. And like your body is not going to then just take them up as I'm. So I had those replaced, which I don't know. I mean, I had a lot of other stuff going on at the same time, but I just feel like energetically, like not having that in my body, I just feel like such a sigh of relief. He's like he actually took pictures to show how they were bulging and like all this stuff that was happening, which I had zero clue because I didn't have like the capacity. Like, how am I supposed to see inside, like way back in my mouth? But he took pictures and showed the before and the after of what it looked like. Very, very like up close and personal. I've never been that up close and personal with my molars before, but or since, to be honest. But
I love your dentist and I don't even know him.
yeah, he's a hoot. So and then I was like on a crusade. I was like, anybody I talked to, I was like, you know what I just did? I had my fillings removed from childhood. I don't know how I didn't know that they were there, and no other dentist in my entire adult life, and I'm gonna be 49 next month. Not one has ever said to me, "Ooh, we got to get rid of those." He's the first one that was like, "Whoa, this is not okay, girl. Let's get those out of here."
Well, it's the same as conventional medical doctor to a naturopath. It's your training. Some don't even
Hmm.
realize that it's a problem, don't understand
Hmm.
that heavy metals are kind of a root cause of a lot of our ailments.
Hmm.
So I want to commend you for doing that, Kelly. Little did you know that our teeth are energetically connected to every organ and system. So by changing out the amalgam, the mercury filling in your mouth, you actually helped your organs heal.
That makes total sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel better and better. And there's a lot of other pieces to that, of like a whole holistic approach, nutrition, diet, stress, like all sleep, all those pieces. Um, I don't know. I really felt a shift. And I happen to feel like I'm somebody who's super in tune. Like I feel and know things in my body because I'm so hypersensitive to it that I think other people probably aren't even aware of happening. Um, so I feel a big difference.
Yeah. And that's the most important part, that you found empowerment doing that, both physical, mental, and emotional, and potentially some spiritual as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think so many people are walking around and they're not aware of all of the toxins. It's very hard in our modern day in life, particularly if we're living near cities or in very industrious areas. It's very hard not to have any level of toxin that we're exposed to. We can limit it. I see it as like the job of limiting it within my household. So at least we have sort of this like safe space. We have not been using scented detergents or anything that has any kind of chemical composition for a very long time. And it's interesting to me. I feel like the companies that make um, laundry detergent are just like upping and upping and upping. I am so offended all the time by like the intensity of these very heavily chemically smells. I mean, I'm like an essential oil geek, so I get it. Like I like the very like simple sourced, very specific one note of a scent. I'm like, this is rose, this is frankincense, right? And it's just that, like it's not all the other pieces. I feel like that off gassing like is like I honestly feel like my whole system is like offended and it's too much. I can't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to kind of the heavy metals and stuff, it's not uncommon when you have a high load to be a little bit more sensitive, but then the awareness piece comes in and then you can tell. So what we actually do here is we do an oligo scan, and it's photospectrometry, and it actually tests 4 points in your hand, your heavy metals and your vitamin and your mineral levels. And why
Hmm.
we do that instead of blood is because in heavy metals are usually not in the blood, because your body wants to, right, pull toxins as well. It wants to pull it out, stick it somewhere safe, and then when it actually has the ability to deal with it, it'll deal with it. So we get a better summary of what's going on within the body by testing the bones and the tissues as well. And you're talking about how they're ubiquitous, right? So I have seen so many patients with high aluminum, high silver, and high cadmium down here in Dallas. And so
Hmm.
I've tracked back the aluminum and the silver is in the chemical trails.
Hmm.
cadmium is an industry that is burning. So Dallas must get winds from some sort of industrial area where it's heavy. So just to like even prove your point, like we walk outside, the air that we breathe is even toxic. So it's even more important to reduce the ones that we're slapping on our bodies intentionally because there's so many unintentional ones that we're going to be exposed to.
Mm, mm. Yeah. I mean, that's what's so mind blowing to me. Um, and and I will not say that it is easy to go from like whatever products you happen to have in your home to reducing that load. However, it was hard 20 years ago, right? It was challenging. Today, there are so many more readily available products on the market that you get to be picky choosy. And fun fact, you can get things like shea butter, coconut oil, like things that you can use to create your own concoctions from straight like from and that's honestly that's kind of where I started before they had a lot of these products because I had such a like a hypersensitivity trying to not put gluten in my body. People like gluten in lotions and hair products are like the worst for gluten. Trying to find those kind of products 20 years ago, so hard. Like finding like one product online shipped from who knows where. But now like you could literally go to CVS and probably find something that is it is fairly safe. So I think we've come a long way. And I think that really speaks to consumers wanting less of these issues in the products that they use. People are becoming more aware. There are a lot of really great companies out there who are, safe, sustainable, don't use all the chemicals, and also are trying not to have a really terrible impact on the planet. So that's sort of like, for me, is like the next level. I've done all of the shifting of the things, but now it's like, am I aligned with the mission of this organization and do they have philanthropy? Like now it's more like a conscious consumerism piece for me versus like, can I find something that, and not to mention, like, I don't want to look like I'm like
Right.
not showering and like I want things that actually like work and do
Yeah, that's the
well,
caveat.
right?
It's like it has to be a high quality product as well as
Yes.
clean,
Yes.
sustainable. I'm right there with you because I've been on that journey for 15 years. So right, it's part of my everyday life. But the same, our product options are expansive nowadays. I love my patients for the very reason where I will probably learn about one new all organic, natural toothpaste to something that somebody's putting in their coffee that has chaga mushrooms in it. The products options that we have these days are profound. So, yeah, that makes things a lot easier to make those changes. But to Kelly, you and I made these significant changes because of our health. A lot of people that I see are just here like, oh, where am I at? Stuff like that. So we have the option of really going
Mm-hmm.
slow as they want to go, as long as they're moving forward. Because remember, baby steps equal big results. And so if we just change one thing, like I tell people, imagine if you did 10 push ups every single day, just 10. Imagine how amazing your arms would look at the end of the year. It's the exact same thing when it comes to your nutrition, your water, your supplements, your detox, they're your cleansing regimen, whatever it is. One little thing is going to add up with the next little thing. And
Mm-hmm.
cumulatively, by the end of the year, you're going to be feeling fantastic. And you'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't I start this earlier? And then what I start to see is people start snowballing because they're like, well, can I feel better? Can I feel better? Like I did this and I'm feeling better. Ooh, if I did this, ooh, I'm feeling even better. So yeah, it almost gets to be an addiction. How good can I feel? Yep.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree with you. And I think to the woman who's listening and is like completely overwhelmed and is like, I don't even know where to start. I say like, okay, girl, what kind of deodorant are you using? Start there.
Yep.
And you know what? You don't even have to start tomorrow. You can say when this deodorant is done, then I'm going to find a new deodorant. When my shampoo runs out, then I'm going to find a new shampoo. Like you do not have to like empty your medicine cabinet and take everything out of your shower and throw it away and spend a fortune on new products that you may or may not like. So don't do that. I mean, unless you have the means to do that and it feels good for you. But if you're like most people who are just trying to like keep it going and not break the bank and you want to eat the organic food and all of those things, then just pick one thing. Whatever runs out next, that's the thing. And let that be like, and like you said, 10 push-ups a day, one product at a time. Suddenly at the end of the year, you're going shopping anyway, right? We're all going to continue to wear deodorant, I'm assuming. If you're not, it's very virtual world. Maybe it doesn't matter. I will be, but you can pick and choose. There's a lot of options out there and things that work better. And I think if you are someone who is still using deodorant that has aluminum in it, we're going to stop that now. This is a great
Mhm.
month if you still have the deodorant with the aluminum to toss it and do something new.
Mhm.
Give it time. I don't know if you have the medical information behind this, but I remember when I made that switch, I was like, okay, nothing is working, nothing is working. I'm to the point now where I don't wear anything with antiperspirant. I don't do that anymore because
Mhm.
I don't feel like that's good for my body. But in the beginning, it took some time for my armpits to kind of detox. And this is all with all the other foods and things. So you may have your body like, okay, thank you for taking that away. Let me just give you the rest of it. So there could be
Like,
some stinkiness for a little bit.
yeah, well, you're always going to have that acclimation period, but I feel like too is I believe the antiperspirant is chemicals, and that's why it can't be in any of the natural deodorants. And I've noticed with myself when I went through that change, and I live in Texas too, y'all. Like it's hot down here. Your body will acclimate, like you said. Just give it a chance. And or even better, align with a practitioner that does this. That way when something does come up, you can call them, email them, and be like, hey, is this normal? And then if it's normal, great. You have a cheerleader on your side to be like, this is normal. We're working through it. You know, do, maybe offer some alternatives because I do recommend sometimes some essential oils to kind of get the people through that. But yes, aluminum and deodorants it goes right into our sentinel lymph, right into our breasts. We're being sprayed in the skies. And now we know that it's a contributor to dementia.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Mhm.
Yes. And just to add another layer to everybody as they're feeling like, oh my gosh, so many things to do. Stress, very bad for your body.
Oh.
And
Stress causes 80% of the illnesses
yeah,
that we see today.
yes.
But I think that's because we're already so imbalanced and then we're
Mm-hmm.
totally stressed out and it just pushes us over the edge. We do a test here where you have to stay silent for 5 minutes and it gives us your cardiovascular fitness. And
Mm,
on there, it talks about stress resilience.
mm,
And when you have significantly high cortisol levels for long periods of time, your stress resilience just, I mean, it's out the window. You have none. Yeah. And I'm seeing that a lot. And I think it was because the last 5 years has just been one thing after another with all of us. And so if you haven't turned off the news yet, turn it off. If you haven't gotten some adaptogens in your life, call me, text me, email me. We'll get you on some adaptogens because that's going to improve your stress resilience. High cortisol equals really poor health, especially when it's chronic 5, 10 years plus. That's
Mm-hmm.
when I'm seeing all the women with all of the menopausal symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
women don't realize that their sex hormones are so low on the priority list that
Mm-hmm.
they're the ones we usually notice that are affected because we have the heavy menstruations, we have the cramping, we have the odd cycles, the breast tenderness, like things like that. We're like, okay, something's wrong. But if everything is right at the top of the hill, then your body is going to adjust and compensate the lower part.
Mm-hmm.
Something's going on top. Fix what's on top first, and then the bottom will just totally be in equilibrium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge. And I think what people also don't realize is that when you're in this constant state of stress, your sympathetic nervous system is overactive and you're not sort of giving yourself that time to rest, digest, and let the parasympathetic nervous system come in. That's when we see so many issues with like having those high stress chemicals in your body and you're not getting the good ones and you're not probably sleeping well because you're stressed out. And so you don't have that time for everything to kind of reset overnight. So I think if you start somewhere too for your whole body, really learning how to manage your nervous system, there are a million resources out there. You can go back in my catalog of podcast episodes. I've had breath specialists who have come on and talk about different breathing techniques, mindfulness techniques, like ways for you to learn to be empowered to downgrade your nervous system if you're somebody who tends to stay super high all the time. They're meant to be like a yin and yang so that your body is in homeostasis. So you have control over your nervous system. I know people feel like they're out of control, but you are not. You can tap into your vagus nerve and calm it down. Best way to do that. That vagus nerve comes like down and into your diaphragm. It's hanging out all down in there, right? Deep breathing, belly breaths, pelvic bowl breaths, right? Work
Yep.
on that pelvic floor, all those things. That is going to reduce stress for you. So even if all you do is start practicing deep breathing, and if you've never done it before, it's like expanding a balloon the first time. You got to give it a little time, fill those full lungs, get it down in there, sit in a little stillness if you can, because really controlling the stress in your life is going to, one, bring your brain back online so that you can make smart, thoughtful decisions, right?
Yeah.
Better for all of your relationships and work life. Um, but it really does put your body in a better state of health and well-being. So I think
Well,
that's like a huge piece for people being empowered. Like you don't have to just stay stressed all the time.
right. Well, one thing that all the things that you pointed out about the sympathetic versus parasympathetic is great. But one thing we forget is that that's what our body heals.
Mm,
So if we're not in a parasympathetic state and sleeping well, our body doesn't get the opportunity to heal. And that's when we digest, is when we're in the parasympathetic state. So look at how many of people nowadays, friends, family, somebody with digestive issues. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with popping a probiotic in your mouth unless you're in need of a probiotic and somebody's tested you kinesiologically to know what probiotic is best for you. Simple lifestyle changes like breath and stuff will realign that and start having you digest and assimilate the food better.
mhm.
So, from the physical standpoint, it's just as important as the mental emotional standpoint.
100%. I tell people like if the first thing you do is just some deep breathing and work on your sleep, like that alone could revamp everything for you. And when we've slept better, we make better decisions. We're like more likely, we sleep well, we're like, all right, I'm gonna go for the green smoothie instead of the donut, right? I'm gonna take my morning walk instead of sitting with my feet up on the couch. No, no shaming for sitting with your feet up on the couch, by the way. but it's making the choice that you want for your healthier lifestyle so much easier if you are well rested and add rest in there too. I know we're throwing a lot of things at people, but
All great.
if we're talking about this holistically and really setting yourself up for long-term health and well-being, I think this is kind of that big circle of influence and all those pieces that really make such a huge difference. And I just want to pull it back to the specific work that you're doing, Karah, so people can connect with you, they can find you. If this is something that they've been looking for in their lives, or if they're ready to really take hold of preventative medicine and making better choices, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you, to connect with the clinic? What's the first step?
I say email to me directly, and I will put them in contact with the person that they need to talk to. My email is drkara@thermographycenter.com.
That's easy to remember. And we'll put that in the show notes so people can connect with you. I really appreciate all of this information. And I think if people take anything away, I would love them to consider prevention and proactivity as two things to uptake in their health and well-being. Anything you'd like to add as like a big takeaway for people, or a small one that's like
Mhm.
a little bite-sized piece that they could do?
Yeah, proactivity is huge. And I feel like we all do significant amounts of proactivity, but it really should be directed towards you. So make sure that if you're not testing yourself kinesiologically with muscle testing, because that's another thing that I empower my patients to do, is find a practitioner that does it. Because you're going to see changes within your body, not only from the empowerment piece, but the physical, mental, and emotional piece, that much faster when you're using that as a tool.
Mm, I love that. We're all going to learn that. And listen, people, you can YouTube. There's probably a reel for that, to be honest. Like, just go on Instagram. There's somebody that shows you how to do kinesiology testing. So I think that is great, because becoming empowered and a conscious consumer. And I think we've also talked about just so many pieces of consumption, whether it's what you're consuming with your mind, what you're putting on your skin and your body is taking in, what you're eating, who you're surrounding yourself with, all of those pieces, the things in your environment, not 100% under your control, but there are many, many things you can do before you say there's nothing else I can do. I'm still not there. There's still many, many more things I could do. Again, one step, one item at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, small changes equal big results.
Perfect. I love it. That's the soundbite. Small changes, big results. So, Karah, I want to thank you again for coming on. I think this has been such a comprehensive conversation. I really encourage people to reach out and connect with Karah, find out more about the clinic where she's working and how you could get yourself an appointment. She did share with me at the top of the podcast when we were talking that they do take patients from all over who come in to have this done, and it can be a one and done thing. So if it's something you're interested in, put it on your list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we take patients from all over the world, actually.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that tells you something right there, everybody. So, everybody, take care. Thank you for being here. Thank you again, Karah.
Thank you for having me, Kelly. It was so wonderful to connect with you again and have a conversation, because this is all really great information that everybody needs to know. So thank you for bringing it to the public space.
I love it. Yes, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I appreciate you so much. And we've got a lot of stuff to do, everybody. So if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably someone who is mission driven, wants to make big changes in the world. If you do one thing after this podcast, not just for yourself, but for another person who needs to hear this, like, share, subscribe, comment on the podcast. Tell us what you love about it, because then we get it into more people's hands, into more people's ears, and we can make some really big changes in the world. And that is what I know you're all here for. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time on the podcast. Bye for now.